Has anyone here ever felt completely lost? Not just geographically, but like you didn't know how to act, what to say, or even how to order food? You know, that feeling has a name, and it might be one of the most valuable experiences of your life. Today, I want to talk to you about what happens to you. Really, what happens to you when you step outside your home country. Not just go on Instagram, the real thing. Stepping outside internationally. When you travel internationally, you don't just change locations. You step outside the invisible rules you've been living with your entire life. Just think about it. The way people greet each other, eat meals, handle time, express disagreement, show respect, define what's normal. All of this shifts the moment you cross certain borders. Just think about it. Maybe you're in Korea and you sneeze and no one really says bless you, or gesundheit, or salud. You go to Mexico and you're supposed to meet with someone or go to a party at 4 o'clock and everyone shows up at 7 p.m. Your brain, which has spent years building a model of how the world works, suddenly it finds itself in this lost space that just doesn't work anymore. This triggers what researchers call culture shock. And sure, you have heard of the term, but when it's you in the flesh, in the person, in the space, it's a little bit different than what you see on paper. And it moves through predictable stages. There's the honeymoon phase. Everything feels exciting, exotic, almost magical. You're riding the novelty. Then there's like the frustration phase. Things stop making sense, you feel incompetent, you're exhausted by the task that should be simple. You just want to go home. But you find a way to build your ways into the adjustment phase. It's where you start reading the new environment, patterns emerge, you find small little victories. And so you move into the adaptation phase. You operate with a new, expanded lens, you've grown. The key thing here isn't the discomfort. It's that friction you feel. That's what your brain is being forced to question and process and make sense of these things around you. And these things aren't just things you can just assume you would know. They are things you experience and learn about yourself along the way, and that is just part of the process. Think about going to the gym for the first time after a long break. The first few days, your muscles are sore, you feel clumsy, you don't know how to use the machines. You feel a little embarrassed watching people around you who look like they know what they're doing, and you just want to quit. But that soreness, that's not damage, that's growth. Your muscles are tearing slightly so that they can rebuild stronger. The pain is the progress. International travel, that's just your worldview. It expands how your perspective on the same things you thought were one way, and now there's more than one truth. More than one truth to the same thing. The confusion, the awkwardness, the moments where your normal doesn't work anymore, that's your mind tearing old assumptions so it can rebuild a bigger, more flexible one. Nobody gets stronger by just staying at home, comfortable. And nobody grows a global perspective without leaving their comfort zone. So what exactly changes in you? Researchers on students who study or travel abroad consistently point to three things. Greater empathy. You've been the outsider. You've been the one who didn't understand the unwritten rules. You'll never forget that feeling. And that makes you better at understanding others. You gain greater adaptability. You've had to solve problems without your usual resources, language, or support system. That's a muscle that you'll use for the rest of your life. And a clear sense of who you are. You don't know what truly you value, believe in, or stand for until you've seen yourself in this contrast to something that is genuinely different. You don't know and you don't find out who you are in a comfortable, familiar territory. You find out who you are when your unusual scripts don't work. Or I should say when your usual scripts don't work in the same way. Now that you're in a different environment. And so they just come to life for you. You're like, wait a minute. That's not how I usually do things. But that's how I thought it would work. The goal of international travel isn't to collect passport stamps. It's to collect moments where the world didn't work the way you expected it to. And you figured it out anyway. That's not just travel. That's becoming someone new, global, and compassionate for others, while having a good time along the way. Thank you for joining us today. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and if you're so inclined to leave a comment, tell us if you were to go anywhere in this world, where would it be?